Shoutouts to JBox for inspiring this video. You may have seen Battle in New York 2021 show up on this homepage. You may have heard it referred to as Gilfest online. Let's take a minute to explain the event and lotto farming like you're 5. Gilfest is an event like any other. Event quests will drop unique currency they can use in this event shop. There are 3 different event currencies. There are wild fries, strong dogs, hungry burgers, muscle burgers. They're hot dogs, hamburgers, and french fries. What else do you expect from New York? Once you finish the prologue main quest, the event nodes are unlocked. Unlike the most recent summer event, there aren't very many quests. There are 4 in total, called Street, Club, Gym, Arena, and Garden. Farming these is pretty straightforward. The street quest drops even amounts of hot dogs, hamburgers, french fries. It's not really worth farming. The club quest will drop the most wild fries and is the best way to farm the bronze event currency. The gym quest drops the most hot dogs, silver currency, and the arena quest drops the most hamburgers, the gold currency. These quests will change a bit after a few days. The event has 3 phases of quests, sometimes referred to as preliminaries, main event, and finals. What you need to know is that basically only the enemies in each node change, and they always drop very similar amounts of the event currency. Now, there are some skill and ascension materials that drop outside of the event currency, so if you farm those quests enough, you'll get things like pages, Yggdrasil seeds, and under the bronze quest, a street quest in round 1. And then the lottery quest will drop Soundless Bells and Hearts of a Foreign God. So if you see the quest change in a few days, don't flip out. It's just different enemies. It's not significantly harder to farm either. It's just to keep it from being boring because people go ham on this one particular event. Now, speaking of going ham, the garden quest is the one that everybody will fixate on. Instead of dropping any event currency for the shop, it drops tickets. These tickets can be redeemed on the other tab in the event shop, the King of Heroes Lottery. Now, one lottery pull costs 2 tickets and will get you one thing randomly from a pool of 300. That thing that you get will be removed from that box forever. These lottery boxes contain things like skill gems, colored fruits, apples, serpent jewels, meteor horseshoe, proof of hero, fool's chain, QP, and a lot more. Once you empty a box, you can start another one, rinse, and repeat. The game encourages you to farm at least 10 boxes, because for each box there's a grand prize. You'll get a couple copies of Jewel Bride, you get some gold foe, and then once you hit the 10th box, that's when the contents stabilize, and they're the same forever. Now, let's move on to the farming aspect. So the fervor comes in the repeatability of this quest for these lotto boxes. As long as you have AP, you can farm these boxes as much as you'd like. These boxes aren't exactly the most AP efficient way to farm any one material, but they're a great way to get a ton of different things at once. There's no limit to how many boxes or lineups you can farm. If you're trying to farm as much as humanly possible, you want to prioritize 3 things. You want to prioritize how much time you take to complete a quest. This is usually measured in terms of turns, and an ideal team can farm the node in 3 turns, the absolute minimum, 1 turn per wave. Number 2, how many lottery tickets drop when you complete a quest? This one's pretty easy. More event craft essences, specifically this one called Scenic Beauty. They will increase how many of those tickets drop in each run. Try for 5 craft essences if you can, and only max limit break them when you have to. When you max limit break this craft essence, it increases the number of tickets that drop to 2 instead of 1. So having 5 basic craft essences versus 1 max limit broken craft essence is a bonus of 5 compared to 2. So hold off on max limit breaking. Now, the third one is how many times you have to interact with the game before you complete a quest. 1 misclick inside of a quest, say with a skill, targeting servant, so on and so forth, that can mess up a whole run. And I like to farm while I'm watching something, so I try to minimize the number of skills I have to use when I farm. I don't like to use skills or teams like relying on the plug suit for swapping your party, because I've misclicked so many times, so I try to hone down the fewest number of skills that I have to use. If you want help with some specific teams, check out this spreadsheet made by X0 and Saber of Avalon, and I'll put a link in the description. They've been making these sheets for some time now, and it's revolutionized lottery-style events and farming them. There's all sorts of data, there's tons of different teams and suggestions, and even if you're not a Leviathan or a Hyperwhale that can run these teams with Max Limit Brook and Kaleidoscopes, 10-10-10 skills, you'll find some really good suggestions here, some really solid math, and on top of that, you'll find some good ideas. Sometimes it's hardest to farm these because you have to say, well, they're all casters. What are my favorite rider servants, and how can I get them to Noble Phantasm fast? Well, hey, what if you didn't do that? What if instead Berserkers? So it's really enlightening. I recommend checking this out. Now, let me take a moment to suggest that efficiency is not everything. You'll probably hear players boast about farming hundreds of lottery boxes and achieving things that might be beyond your capabilities. That's fine. Don't be afraid to play the game at your own pace, especially with a new account. There will be another lottery style event for the Christmas event, and they're always 2 per year. So if you miss this one, or if you don't do exactly what you wanted to, it's not the end of the world. Before you can start farming, the game makes you finish the prologue quest, but it's only the story. Let's take a few minutes to walk through the prologue so you can skip it and jump straight into farming the event. You don't have to worry about this revival scenario quest, just do the opening ceremony quest, and then forget it, hit skip, who reads this stuff anyway? Seven days. Oh, never mind, this is Cosmos. Greetings, heroic spirit fans the world over, and welcome to the event you've all been waiting for. No one remains on top forever. What we think of as strength changes with the times. Countless heroic spirits claim to be the strongest of all, but which of them would actually win in a fight? Well, you won't have to wait much longer to find out. Prepare to feast your eyes on the strongest heroic spirit this planet has to offer. That's right, it's time for the martial arts tournament that comes but once a year. A festival of cheers and applause where prizes and QP come fast and furious. Only 2 hours remain until the start of Battle in New York 2021. They're all hanging out. What kind of snacks would Jason bring to a Super Bowl party? Punch. Wow, I'm locked into dialogue choices. Everyone's back. I know, at this point, this festival has practically become a Chaldean autumn staple. It all started when Emperor Nero began holding regular martial arts tournaments themed around ancient Rome's Olympia. Then last year, it moved to New York and became a bigger, more modern event thanks to the King of Heroes. Right you are, Mash. You have done an excellent job as the master of ceremonies. I only wish your spot-on recap did not so painfully remind me that my Nero Fest is now a thing of the past. This was all originally my idea. How did it come to this? I always did the best I could with the scant resources I had to ensure everyone would enjoy themselves, but I suppose it just wasn't enough. Come on, let's go take that smarmy tyrant down a peg or 3. You refer to that man who was always dressed in gaudy gold armor, yes? Who does he think he is, getting another animation update? He may have managed to slip away last year, but this year I will show him the consequences of his own actions. At any rate, my first order of business is to make my way through the prelims. The rules are the same as last year. The servant who wins the tournament will be given the right to challenge the self-proclaimed champion of all heroic spirits, the King of Heroes. But before that, I will need to face and defeat many rivals over there. In this, the 5th Olympia, it is once again to determine the strongest servant. I look forward to seeing what sort of tricks my opponents will employ this year. Oh yes, it seems that everyone has been training hard for this event, so I expect there will be battles like we've never seen before. You're very optimistic about things like this, aren't you, Mash? Oh, well, it's just that in all the past tournaments, I've always learned something new and interesting by watching everyone else fight. In a way, I guess it's a lot more like watching sports. So yes, I do enjoy it a lot. I see you are both excited for the upcoming battles as well. I would expect no less from last year's champions. That spirit shall make your inevitable defeat at my hands all the sweeter. I will be competing against you and the King of Heroes as a lone bride this year, and I do not plan on losing to either of you. Tell me, do you ordinary servants have enough embers in stock? Ah, yes, nothing like a little light King of Heroes humor to start the day. And on that note, good morning, New York! It has now been a year since my shocking fall from the top floor of that skyscraper, but the early King of Heroes gets the figurative worm. Now that my vigor has been renewed, I have awakened with the light of dawn. Now then, I trust all you miscreants at Chaldea are hearing this. That goes for you too, Inazuma and the 5th Emperor of Rome, who I wish would give that bride outfit to the King of Knights. Though this may be the 2nd annual Gilgamesh Cup, let me make this abundantly clear. It hardly need to be said, but to be clear, last year's tournament was but a trial run, a warm-up you might say. I was obviously pulling my punches in that final bout, as demonstrated by how old my animations were at the time. Go on, think back. Remember how my Gate of Babylon lacked its usual sharpness, and how my hand wielding the Sword of Rupture was exhausted. But this year, there will be no waiting and seeing, and no holding back. This year, I will descend from on high as the most powerful final boss to ever live, wielding violence worthy of the strongest heroic spirit. I would hold on to all 3 of your Chaldean spells if I were you, just so you have a hope of getting through all 5 of my break gauges. He said command spells. I read too quick. Uma, I commend you for not letting your pride get in the way of a sound strategy, King of Heroes. I take it you will not be repeating your mistake from last year, then? Of course not. I also thought about calling in a certain friend of mine to form a team, but decided against it, as there is no telling what trouble that could cause. For example, I wouldn't be at all surprised if, in the midst of battle, he decided it was more interesting to carpet bomb me from behind than to fight our intended opponent. And so I will once again be taking on the tournament winner single-handedly. Consider it my handicap. I can't tell if he's being serious or not. At any rate, to all you heroic spirits watching this now, listen well. Those among you who fancy yourselves the strongest of all servants, come to New York once again and prove it. But be warned that there is no station greater than mine, as the throne where I await you sits on top the entire world. Here I, the Golden Archer, the newest King of Heroes in all of New York, shall pass my final judgment on your strength. I mean it this time. Oh, and once again, I have prepared an assortment of splendid prizes to be won at Madison Square Garden. Note, too, that there will be a different receptionist this year, as Mula decided not to invest due to some business with unlucky stars. While this new receptionist is quite adept in all things, she is still new to this line of work, so ensure that you conduct your affairs at the shop in an orderly manner. A tactician named Chen Gong told me, a true champion asks 3 times if there are any who can best him. I like that. I like that very much. So on that note, I invite you all to once again do battle in my garden, to entertain me, and to suffer defeat at my most capable hands. And that was Gilgamesh, the King of Heroes. He certainly knows how to give a rousing speech, doesn't he, Senpai? You always see the good in people, don't you, Mash? Umu, by this point, I take that arrogance of his to be his way of welcoming the combatants. After all, he is the sort of man who couldn't help laughing at those who challenge him, no matter how hard they fought. Even so, he would still fight them seriously. I agree. I think he was looking forward to this tournament more than anyone. He's also not the type to let bygones be bygones, so I'm sure he's been eagerly awaiting his chance to take revenge. Umu, come, Inazuma, let us go perform on this stage he has set for us. Together, we shall ascend his golden skyscraper and achieve an even more glorious victory than last year. That's it. Go farm boxes.